Hi, I'm Debgemmellmods, and I write any gauge and gauge-free patterns, many of which are free now. So I'm going to start with what I'm wearing. This is the family crew neck pullover, any gauge. So this is in worsted. Here's the pattern. There. And as you can see, this is quite different than either of these. What I used was a modification I put in the at the end. Oh, it's a separate file with with the chart for this twisted stitch pattern that I have here. But what I really wanted to show you was what I have been working on. So I am knitting another 12-point circular. So here it is, and I am doing it in 6-row stripes, which is easier than the helical, which is what the pattern's written for, but it can easily be changed to 6 round stripes. So I had enough of this Hempton by Hemp for Knitting. It's a cotton hemp blend, and I have enough gray and 2 little balls of teal left over. So I think I can get a top for my daughter out of this. So you can see the 12, here's where the increases are. And this time I used a lifted right, lifted left, closed increase this time, but you can still see the lines. Now, part of the problem that comes up when you're doing stripes is what to do with the ends. And are you going to weave them in as you go? Are you going to sew them in later? So I chose to sew them in later because it's almost invisible. So here I'm going to show you a couple. Here we are. Okay, so do they look that different? I have to poke one eye out here. The different points where you're increasing, I don't think you can tell which one is the sewn ones. So what you do is you start you start a new color, and when you go back to sew them in, what you do is sew it into its own color. So I started with the gray, so let's do the teal. So there's the teal. This is the end. And I'm gonna sew it. Wait, I had it all worked out. Oh, you're gonna sew it in at a diagonal in its own color. So you can see that this is dropped and this is up. So when you sew this one, you're going to pull it on a diagonal to pull it up. And then you're gonna take the teal that's at the end and you're gonna pull it down. So can you see that I've sewn this one this way and this one that way? Yeah, so this one that way, and at the top I sewed it this way. And then at the very end, just because this is cotton, I kind of go back a little bit like a candy cane. I call it a candy cane, like that, because it's hard for a slippery yarn to make that corner to pop out again. But anyway, that's what I do, and it's fairly simple to do, and it's obviously quite effective. So I don't think you can notice too badly, especially down here where they've been sewn. Anyway, less noticeable. So I'm really happy with that. I think I have 2 more stripes, and then I can split for the arms here. I'm just going to do short short sleeves and just do a little bit of teal if I can manage it for the sleeves. The other thing that I was working on is my sock pattern. So I put out a sock pattern called, what's it called? Gauge free. I think I call it Sock Freedom. It's a gauge free sock, toe up sock with a short row heel. So this is a short row heel right here, makes this line here. And this sock starts here. So I did a whole video on the idea for the sock. So you can watch that. It's I hooked it up to my last blog post too, if you wanted to go to my blog. And in this one for myself, I did the gusset. So there's increases worked here. Can you see that? Worked right here. I worked my heel, back, and then I decreased back to the original number, back here. Right there, and right there. Yeah, so that gives me a little more room here, which I definitely need. So that's a finished object, and I think it's the only one that I have finished. The other thing I was working on is, you will have, if you've been following me, I'm kind of fumbling around a little bit today, but I did a Lunenburg. So there's the Lunenburg I knit for myself. It's got a greeny blue and a teal, gray body, and a gray yellow is the light color. So I offered to knit some sweaters for my son-in-law and for my daughter. So my son-in-law picked red, the blue-green color, and mostly, so that's what he wanted. So this is his. So it looks a little different. So I ran into the red-green when I was down here saying, oh my God, red-green, it looks like Christmas. So I had to change that. So I added the black, and then when I used the red, I made it black, light gray, and red. And I think that worked. I think it doesn't look like Christmas anymore. And I went back up here and duplicate stitch some dark gray, because I didn't do that till down there up here. So I think it works. And I have the body to finish, but I ran out of wool, so I had to order some more. So that should be coming my way from Briggs & Little. It's Briggs & Little Sports Weight, single ply, rustic style wool, which I really like. So I went to the Fergus Fiber Festival on the weekend, and I spent a bit of money. So I have already done these. These are the Gudrun Johnson's AERT mitts. AERT mitts. This is fingering weight yarn from Waxwing. So it's a rustic yarn, which they have milled in Quebec from Canadian wool, from Canadian sheep. So I got this as a kit. So there are 20-gram balls. So I have lots of these colors left. So I thought I would start and knit my new pattern, which is going to be a V-neck pullover. Since you might have noticed, I'm very fond of pullovers. So let me just get it set up here for you there. Are you ready? Okay, here it is. Oh! So here we go. So I'm using up the yarn that I have left. This is a V-neck where you do the ribbing and then you start with the ribbing, and then you do short rows. Get out of there. You do short rows to do the V-neck against the ribbing, and then you start knitting round and round, which I am now, and then you cross this end of the V-neck over the other end to form the V. Now that's not very neat because I haven't actually done that. It'll go like that. Anyway, so I'm happy that it's so cheery, isn't it? So these are the colors, so gold, orange, brown. So right now I'm knitting the navy, and then I'm going to knit light blue, and then dark green, or like a medium green, and then light green, and then I might start again, gold, orange, gold, orange. So it's going to be kind of wild, but that'll be fun. And then I bought some skeins of navy to finish because I don't think I'll have enough with the striping. So I'm doing a navy stripe right now. There, so there. And then I will go on to the light blue and then the greens. Anyway, so this starts with the ribbing. And then you do short rows against the ribbing and then the back has this much knit as you're going down the front. So a regular raglan. So if you followed me before, you know that I generally do 2 at a time. Where's my other one? Oh, here it is. I usually do 2 at a time. So here's the other one I'm doing. This is that's fingering rustic yarn. And this is superwash fingering. There. So there we are. So I'm just now working on my short rows. So my short rows are this far down, and every time it's going 2 stitches further down, 2 stitches further down until I get to here, and then I join it in the round. So here we are. And on this one, I'm doing a stitch pattern. Can you see it? It's a twisted. Sometimes if I hide my face, it'll focus. There it is. Twisted stitches, which I will put in the pattern. I think I'm going to have to hand do the chart for it. It'll be charted. So there's as far, you can see here where my needle is. That's how far my short rows have got down, and then a short row down to the end here. But anyway, so this will be really nice to wear. This is a Shell Ridge 80-20 fingering with raglan sleeves. There we are, raglan sleeves. So I'm doing these 2. This one has a stitch pattern, and that one has all the stripes. So a nice bit of variety for me. And then what else did I, that's what I'm working on, the 2 V-necks, the 12-point circular. I have the body, and then I'm going to start a shawl or a wrap, I guess. Here's the beginning of it, and it's going to, it goes like this. There's the beginning. So it starts like the 3-part, what did I call it? Another pattern of mine, 3-part, I forget. Anyway, and it'll have a green stripe here. So it's something else that I started. And I bought some yarn from Lichen and Lace, which is another rustic sports weight, similar to the Briggs & Little Sport. So I think I am going to knit myself another color work top down. I might make it a raglan, I don't know. Anyway, and I'll let this yarn do the work against a solid. And I have to get a solid that doesn't have green, blue, or gold in it. So that'll be a trick because those are my colors. And I did some more sock buying. So here we are. So I went to Timber Yarns, and they do striped socks, and they're local to me too. And this is the colors that my grandson picked. So he will get a pair of socks and a matching hat out of this. And then you can't go wrong with blue and gray stripes. And then I picked these two possibly for myself. So I'm quite intrigued by this one. And this is called Royal City. Kind of interesting. And this one's called Highlander. And I really like this one too. So I saw a sample of what the stripes will look like, but of course I've forgotten. So I'll be quite interested to see how these turn out. The other thing I bought was from Twin Oaks Farm, which is locally grown and milled yarn. This is milled very close to me where I live. So, and again, local. So this is 70% wool and 30% mohair. It's a 3-ply fingering. So she had a pair of socks on out of it, and they looked very comfy. So I'm very interested to see how this turns out. This is a natural sheep color. Slightly gray. Yeah. And it feels so wonderful. Like it feels so soft. So I'm very excited. I saw this on their Instagram post, and so then I made sure that I went to see this and get it and buy some. So I'm very happy with that. And I thought I had more to show you, but I have next to nothing finished. I just started a bunch of stuff, and I'm going away like up north to Northern Ontario for the summer. So I'm kind of frantic about what to take for 9 or 10 weeks worth of knitting. So hence the starting everything. But I do have the Any Gauge V-neck already written. So I am just going through and fine-tuning it at the moment. And switching out the pictures so that they are more they're more. I've already knit a couple of these, but I just wanted to show you what you're in for. So if you get one of my Any Gauge patterns, you do have to figure out your gauge. So I give you, this is my edited sheet, but I give you a sheet that takes you through everything. So this is figuring out how many stitches you have in 1 inch. And then this is choosing a back of neck width and then multiplying that by your stitches per inch, which in my case is 6 stitches. 6 times 7 is 42. So I'm casting on, and I need it to be an odd number, so I'm casting on 43 stitches across the back of the neck. And then you take 1/3 of that for the top of the sleeve, and you cast on like this. So you cast on stitches for the front, stitches for the sleeve, stitches for the back of the neck, stitches for the sleeve, stitches for the front. And then you do short rows against that ribbing to get to the bottom of the V. So it's all here. I think what I might do is, I don't know if some of you would like to knit. Well, I knit this up since I'm knitting two, and they're both fingering weight. It could take me a little while to get them done. So if you're interested in knitting a V-neck pullover for the summer, what I might do is put this up once I'm past this. I'm past the join right now, which is what I needed to check on. So I've made any changes that I wanted, and I can put a little bit of a photo on the front so that you might be able to see what it might look like. And you could knit along with me if you like. So I will maybe do that next week. So I have a couple other things kind of hidden away that I'm probably taking with me because, I don't know, two fingering weight pullovers, and finishing my Lunenburg for my son-in-law, and finishing my 12-point circular for my daughter. I don't know if that's enough. Anyway, I know it's a bit of a panic, isn't it, when you're going away? Anyway, here's the 12-point again. So I'm really happy with this. This is like incredibly easy to do now when I'm just doing the whole 6 rows that I set up for heel and just doing them as one stripe. It's, yeah, 100% easier. So this is going really quickly, and she's small, so I should be done fairly soon for that one. So I hope are you knitting for the summer? I knit all summer. So I go up to Northern Ontario where it doesn't get quite as hot as it does here in Southern Ontario. And so there's usually not much of a problem to be knitting for most of the summer, and except for the bugs, which is something to consider. I can get quite a bit of knitting done over the summer. So I will continue to let you know what I'm knitting on. And if you want to follow my blog, you can do so, debgemmell.com. And, well, we'll see you again. I hope your knitting's going great. Okay, bye-bye.